Good afternoon, everyone. Tammy, Francis, Michael, thank you for joining me for this conversation. I really appreciate your time and I'm excited to have this conversation. My name is Juan Alanis. I'm a business owner here in Houston, and I also have a podcast called Juan of Words, which if you may be watching from my page, or you may be watching from one of our partners that are on here with me today from their Facebook pages. But I'm excited to have you all joining us because we have a very important conversation to share and to talk about, which is a new program for business owners in particular that Comcast has just launched. It's called the Comcast RISE program, which if you look at our little logo here at the bottom right, you'll see the Comcast RISE logo and the website where you can get more information. But joining me today is Tammi Wallace with the Greater Houston LGBT Chamber in Houston. Also Francis Castañeda, Dyess, East End Chamber of Houston, and Michael Bybee, who's with Comcast. So uh, I would not do you all justice in doing an introduction. So please, Tammi, would you tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll go around and let everybody speak about themselves a little bit.
Well, sure. And thank you, Juan, for the invitation to participate into Comcast. This is wonderful. It's a pleasure to be here again. My name is Tammi Wallace. I am actually one of the co-founders of the Greater Houston LGBT Chamber of Commerce and serve as the president and CEO. We are the leading voice for the LGBTQ and allied business community in Houston and the region.
Wonderful. Thank you. Francis?
Hi, my name is Francis Castañeda Dyess, and I'm president of the Houston East End Chamber of Commerce. And I've been here for 10 years. I grew up in the East End. I still live in the East End, and it's an honor to serve the businesses here in East End, Houston.
Yeah, and I have to say, I live in the East End as well, so I love the East End and the East End Chamber, the work that you all do, as well as the LGBT Chamber. I know you guys do a lot of great work as well. Michael, without further ado, please tell us a little bit about yourself, and if you could share a little bit about the Comcast RISE program that we're discussing today, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Juan, and thank you for having us today. Tammi, Francis, good to see you as well. My name is Michael Bybee. I've been with Comcast for over 16 years. I've seen a lot happen here in the Houston market, and I'm very proud to work for a company that cares and is committed to giving back to the communities we serve. And the RISE program is just one of those. A little bit about the RISE program. We know that no single organization can solve the inequities, the hardships that these small businesses here in Houston have felt during the pandemic. At least they certainly can't solve it overnight. But again, we're committed to taking some tangible actions that can drive to long-term impact and change to these small businesses. Studies show that minority-owned businesses have been particularly hit by the pandemic. In recent research done by JP Morgan Chase showed that there were 5 major markets that were hit, among the hardest hit, and those 5 being Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, and here in Houston. So last year we launched Comcast RISE. RISE stands for Representation, Investment, Strength, and Empowerment. It's a broad initiative that again launched last year to provide eligible minority-owned small businesses with marketing, technology resources, tools they need to grow their business and hopefully thrive for years to come. So last month, I was joined by Tammi and Francis and other major area chambers as we partnered with the city of Houston to announce the Comcast RISE Investment Fund, which is yet another component of the Comcast RISE program. And that's designed to provide $5 million to hundreds of minority-owned businesses in those 5 cities that I mentioned, including $1 million right here in Houston. That's kind of an overview of the program thus far.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent program. Thank you for that overview, Michael. And for those watching or now or watching the recording afterwards, we are going to share a little bit of a video where we're going to see more about the program and how it's helped some entrepreneurs. But if you're watching live, you are able to ask us questions or leave comments if you have any thoughts or if you have any questions that you'd like for us to answer. Please feel free to leave them, and we will pull them onto the screen. Let me pull up this video.
Houston is the 4th largest city in the country, and it's known for its great diversity, thriving job market, and Southern hospitality. Being a part of Houston Comcast believes it is our responsibility to support local businesses, and Comcast RISE is the perfect opportunity to do so.
Comcast RISE is a community service program born out of Comcast's commitment to support Black-owned, Indigenous, as well as people of color-owned businesses that were negatively impacted by the COVID pandemic. We want the community, as well as the small businesses, to know that Comcast cares about them. And we want to do our part to help those businesses that have been suffering participate in services that we can offer, whether that's marketing services or technology services. Comcast is blessed with many, many customers and employees that want to help. And so we want to do our part to help these businesses get back on their feet and bounce forward.
That's great. I think it's a great overview. And I know that we probably have a lot of business owners that are watching right now that are interested, and they're wondering, well, what is it exactly? What is the Comcast RISE program? It just opened on March 1st, and the deadline to enter is March 14th, which is why there's a sense of urgency in us doing this broadcast and wanting to share with Houston's entrepreneur community the fact that this is an opportunity that's available. So, Michael, what would you say are a few key takeaways that people should know about the program and the upcoming deadline?
Well, there's a lot. I think that we all know small businesses here in Houston have always played an instrumental role in our city, growth in the future. And as I mentioned earlier, in the midst of this pandemic, these entrepreneurs provided many of the services and resources that have kept our communities up and running and still do. So thrilled to, as you mentioned, on March 1st, we opened up a 14-day window through the 14th that any eligible business, if you yourself are a business owner that can use help, and or you know your neighbor, your friend, someone at church, someone down the street that has a business that can use the benefits of the RISE program, please have them apply. Visit ComcastRISE.com, and they're eligible. Each business is eligible for a $10,000 grant. As I mentioned, there's the technology and marketing component to it, but this is the investment fund piece of it. So again, 14-day window to apply for a $10,000 grant to go a long way for some of these small businesses. Now, I will mention there is some criteria, and the website provides a more in-depth overview as far as all the criteria, but some of the basic criteria include you have to obviously be a small business in operation for at least 3 years, minimum of like 1 to 25 employees, as well as be based in Harris and Fort Bend counties. And I say that because this is I wouldn't say it's in its infancy, but it's an ever-evolving program. So while it's only available for businesses in Harris and Fort Bend counties currently, there's a good chance that we could expand it throughout the greater Houston market as well.
Right. And $10,000 it can go a long way for a business owner, especially in a time like this when you're continuing to go through a pandemic. Myself as a business owner, I can definitely attest to that. And even in Houston, we just had the recent freeze that affected some business owners as well. So Tammi and Francis, I know that you are very in tune with the community, the business community in Houston. What are you all seeing in terms of the needs, the challenges that business owners are facing at the moment? And either one of you can start.
I'll go ahead and start. Thank you, Juan, and for that great question. What we're hearing from entrepreneurs right now is that they're having trouble, keeping employees safe, keeping customers safe. And if their customers get sick, if their employees get sick, then they're going to be behind. So that's one of the things is safety. And then they're having trouble finding new customers during the changes in the world that we're in right now. Some of them are still not on social media. Some of them are not, don't know the true benefits that marketing themselves can do. So that's a good educational thing that we're trying to do as well. And then access to capital is always an issue, and employee retention. Those are the key things that we're hearing that are their biggest needs.
Also, exactly touch on what Francis said. We're seeing businesses that are, losing revenue and dealing with an incredible amount of stress, worried about families, and On top of this, they've got added expenses like PPE. You saw that in the video, which is an incredible expense. Some of our businesses have worked on online platforms. Additional cost comes with that. So the additional expenses with declining revenues is a huge challenge. So, and to get $10,000 as an example is huge for small businesses to help them absorb some of these additional expenses during this time. So it is. This is such a remarkable program, and I'm so glad that Comcast is committed to the small business community in this way, because we know that it's going to make a huge difference particularly with the challenges that our entrepreneurs are facing right now.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's come up in many conversations, across events, virtual events these days, is how unexpected this was. How a lot of us weren't really prepared for 12 months of a pandemic that was going to change things so drastically. So could you share a little bit about kind of what you've seen over the last 12 months, what the shift has been for businesses, how businesses are navigating this uncertainty and this continue to be an uncertain time?
Sure. Go ahead, Tammy.
Well, I was just going to touch on, we've seen remarkable resiliency, I have to say, with our members and the way that they have responded to this pandemic. As I said, that quick shift to, in some cases, online platforms, working out ways to better serve customers during the pandemic. Francis mentioned safety as an issue. So with, looking at this past 12 months, it's just been an amazing journey to watch entrepreneurs respond in such a way to try to keep their businesses moving forward.
Yeah, and some businesses have closed, sadly. They have closed, and that hurts tremendously. But a lot of businesses have opened during this pandemic, and that gives everybody so much hope for the future. And those are truly resilient people, entrepreneurs that really want to keep their dreams going. But a lot of also people are facing the changes of the way they do business to keep their doors open. For example, I love the fact that for a while we could go pick up a margarita at Ninfa's or El Tiempo, and that wasn't done before. And so these businesses are pivoting. That word is said everywhere, but they truly are finding new ways to reach their customers and make sure that they retain them. And by all means, to try everything creative.
Yeah. I would say if there's a word that would describe 2020 would probably be pivot, because so many people had to pivot, including myself and probably some of you, everybody on this call and on this video would probably all had to do some pivoting over the last 12 months. So I definitely think that that's been something that we've all been watching. So we're talking about the Comcast RISE initiative, or the Comcast RISE program, which is a grant program for business owners. And Michael, you talked a little bit about the requirements for the program. Let me just share a few of them. So one of the requirements is that you are established in operations for 3 or more years, that you have 1 to 25 employees, and that you're located in Atlanta, that you're located in Chicago, Detroit, Houston, which is why we're sharing this here, and Philadelphia. So there are different markets that this program is available. But let's get a little bit into the nuts and bolts, Michael, in terms of what would be some best practices, some best tips that we could share with people who are saying, you know what, I have a business, maybe I qualify for this program, I do meet those requirements. What are some key things that they should know when they're submitting their entry for consideration?
Well, the easy answer to that would be to go visit the website. The application itself would take less than 15 minutes at tops to complete. Very straightforward, very easy to understand. And again, all the criteria is listed right there. We look forward to, we want to give 100 businesses $10,000 each. So again, probably best to go visit the website. And again, we're talking specifically this go around about the investment fund, which is the latest extension of the RISE initiative. As I mentioned earlier, and I think it's worth going into a little bit more detail, is that when this launched last year, in addition to the grant component, there were opportunities for businesses to apply for marketing services and technology makeovers. And hundreds of businesses were announced last November, with more than, let's say, close to 50 of those businesses right here in Houston. And what I mean by that is marketing and media consultations, media placements, commercial creative, production services, and then state-of-the-art technology makeovers by Comcast Business. And as similar to as Tammy and Francis were saying, there's a lot more to it. Yes, a $10,000 check can go a long way. But there's other components to this business that were specifically put in place to help small businesses. Again, with the technology makeover. Do you need new computers? Do you need new hardware so you can, have a bigger online presence to get those margaritas to go? So it's nice that we have those resources to provide those to the small businesses. And one, I will add that it's through partnerships with Tammy, Francis, and the other major area chambers within the greater Houston market that we're able to get the word out there and really help these business owners.
Yeah, and speaking of connectivity, I know that Comcast has been a major player for a lot of individuals in getting their connectivity and getting them up to speed. And speaking of connectivity, Javier, who's watching us, shared that a lot of businesses have been forced to upgrade their technology in order to keep up with the post-COVID world, and I think that that's something that we can all definitely attest to. Francis and Tammy, I know that you all work with your members in terms of business pitch competitions like this one. What are some tips that you could share for the business owners who are considering entering or considering submitting their business for this award?
I'll go first. I think just think positive. Don't be afraid to apply. Michael, I love the fact that you said it only takes about 15 minutes. If you kind of look at it, it's like $1,000 per minute just to apply. Right. Who doesn't have that time to lose to gain that type of support? I know members who applied for a grant from Harris County and they didn't get it, but then they applied for a grant at the city of Houston and they received it. So you never know. It's worth the try. And when you do get it, we're going to be out here celebrating you and cheering you on. And then just lastly, during this COVID, we pivoted and did business webinars online. And the most important thing was the need for the most popular ones were the need for marketing tools. Yes, people have updated their systems, but a lot of small mom and pops still don't know the right way to do that. They still are not active on social media to gain those customers. So there's a lot to learn out there. And so I just encourage you, just do it. Take that step and do it.
And I would add to that, I've had a couple of members said, oh, I don't think I would get that, or I saw it, but, I just didn't think I would actually qualify. And I'm like, you don't know until you go read and you actually do apply. Do not discount yourself. Apply. There's so many great programs out, including the Comcast RISE Investment Fund, and then the additional support that would come through the RISE program itself. But if you immediately disqualify yourself, you're not going to get any funding. And right now, it is all about looking for these opportunities, 15 minutes to capitalize on this generous offer from Comcast, and hopefully get some additional funds to help you get through this pandemic and ultimately to thrive once we get beyond this most difficult time.
Yeah, and I think those are great tips in terms of, don't discount yourself and definitely make the attempt to apply, because as you said, Francis, maybe you don't get this one, but maybe you get the next one, or it definitely is preparing you to be in that mindset of competing and looking for opportunities that are out there for business owners. And one of the things I really like about this program is that it is focused on minority-owned businesses, because I think that a lot of times you as a business owner, you might feel like there aren't as many opportunities that are catered to you, to the minority community. So I think that's an important piece of the conversation. And Javier, who's watching with us, says he's going to apply. So definitely we're going to wish him the best of luck on that. Let's see. We have a question here from Selena. She says, when will we know if we were selected for the marketing for the grant? She's basically asking.
Great question. It will be all those grants being awarded will be notified in May.
Okay. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. So you apply by March 14th, and then by May, there will be a decision, and you will know if you're receiving that grant.
Correct.
Right. And then how soon after, I guess as a follow-up, how soon after would you receive funding? If you
Again, great question. I don't have a specific answer to that. My guess is pretty quickly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So looks like we're getting some applicants from this Facebook live stream. We have
good.
Who's going to apply as well. So we definitely are looking forward to and then somebody's asking how to apply. So you apply by going to the website that you see in the bottom right screen of the screen that says comcastrise.com. That's where you go and you'll pull the information for what's required. And you can go through the application process, which, as Michael shared, is about 15 minutes, no more than 15 minutes of your
Very straightforward.
Right. So, Michael, from the previous winners from previous years, is there anything that you could share that has stood out in terms of what people shared or what they included in their application?
Sure. So we have a video of 3 of the previous grant recipients on our blog, houston.comcast.com. Great video. And I tell you, the biggest takeaway is hearing firsthand the testimonials from these business owners, and both Tammi and Francis had mentioned this, just these entrepreneurs. They had a dream and put every bit of heart and soul and last dollar into these businesses. To hear their stories, how they were able to keep their doors open through this program when otherwise they potentially may have had to close their doors. And I mean, again, this is like a lifelong dream. So that's been the biggest takeaway. And again, these are our neighbors. These are our fellow Houstonians. So it's great to be a part of a program to help our communities improve the economy of the great city of Houston.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Tammi or Francis, on the applicants and kind of what you've seen maybe on other programs of successful applicants and what they've done to stand out?
Well, I would say, getting in the queue and responding is as quickly as possible in terms of completing the application and having all your information ready. We find this whether we're working with businesses looking to get certified or applying for grant funding, or quite frankly, just funding, for loans. The more organized you are, the better. So get all your information together. Be clear before you click start that application what's needed. And I think that will help you be much more successful, and particularly so you can get back to running your business at this time.
Yes, and just remember who you're doing this for. Your family, your employees, that should motivate you as well to take that time and then just speak from the heart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a great question here from our friend Misha, who you saw in the video earlier. And it says, how are the chambers helping the small business community during the pandemic and through the Comcast RISE program? So that's definitely for you and Francis, Tammi.
I'll go ahead and start. As soon as we were shut down and working from home, we started creating Feel Good Friday episodes on our Facebook page to highlight some of the great things that are happening in the East End. Gulf Coast Distillery changed their lines to stop making vodka and making hand sanitizer. Texas Mattress Maker started making face masks. TXRX started making PPE material. PPE material, and the story goes on and on and on. So sharing those kind of stories will just give everybody hope that there is a light at this end of this tunnel. But then every Wednesday we had a business webinar on topics like this, where they can, reach out to get the grant, how to apply for the PPP loans, all of these different assets. How do you change your mindset of marketing? How do you change your sales tactics during this pandemic? Everything that we heard from our members that we found a need, we brought a speaker to touch back on there. And then we kept those videos on our website so that people can go back to it and review it at their leisure.
That was, we were very quickly, I think our last in-person event was March the 12th. And within 2 weeks, we had virtual programming going to connect our members, bringing in resources, everything from how to deal with the stress, dealing with the pandemic, resources that our business owners need, in particular tools around exactly what we're doing now, how to be virtual. And so that has been hugely successful. And we certainly see this as a hybrid model for us going forward to support our members. We also elevated our partnership. We were already working with the Texas LGBTQ chambers in Austin, San Antonio, and North Texas through advocacy work. And we said, let's connect our members statewide so they can do a lot of business to business best practices, resource sharing, and create a support base across the state. So we were able to do that. And then to come along at this point and be able to announce and roll out Comcast RISE to show this commitment from Comcast has been, I have to say, one of our corporate partners since we launched the chamber, one of our inaugural corporate partners. So to come to be able to say, this program is here for you, to support you, particularly our BIPOC business owners who we desperately need to survive this pandemic, it is absolutely remarkable. And I will say for I think it's the Creative Marketing Services, if I'm not mistaken, Michael, one of our members let me know the other day that they have been accepted to receive some of those services. So we are excited, and we look forward to collaborating with them to highlight what comes out of their work with Comcast RISE to lift up their business beyond the program.
Great to hear that.
And Tammi, we have Javier says he agrees with you, and the reason that they were able to get SBA loans is because they were organized and they were ready. So that, I think a lot of times, when we're starting out as business owners, maybe we don't know the in and out exactly of everything that we should be doing to stay organized, to be financially responsible. And I think the chambers have an important role in educating the business community and providing those resources. So I know that you all talked a little bit about the programming that you offer, but I think that's an important component as well. Would you agree?
I don't know if it's for Tammi, but I do agree. And then I also wanted to say that chambers of commerce, we were on the front line for our businesses. We never closed our doors. I think we worked more hours than we did when we were in the office. And it's because we love what we do, and we knew that there was a need for that. Chambers were not allowed to apply for the PPP loan the first round. And then finally the second round, we were able to, and we lost a lot of revenue ourselves. We felt the hurt just like our businesses. But now that things are getting back together again, and we were able to apply for a PPP loan, we know what it's like for what our businesses are going through. So we're hand in hand walking up that mountain and going to succeed together.
Francis, that's such a good point. I mean, we had to do our own pivot, right, in March, looking at how we're going to sustain the organization. And for us at the Greater Houston LGBT Chamber, we were looking at this saying, how do we pivot? What is that going to look like? Let's get virtual program. But what we've learned almost a year later is that we believe we're actually more relevant to the LGBTQ and allied business community, that they need us more than ever now and going forward. And that our work continues to be incredibly important to help lift up the LGBTQ and allied business community. The diverse chambers play such a critical role in our economic ecosystem in our city. And so I'm excited to see what we all do going forward, because I know we've learned a lot, but there's also tremendous opportunity to support our members as we move forward.
Yeah, invaluable information. And again, we're talking about the Comcast RISE initiative, of the program that's available, that's providing grants to Houston business owners. And there's a competition that's open right now. It opened on March 1st. It's going to close March 14th. Let's go around and I know in having this conversation and hearing from everybody in terms of what business owners are seeing. And are there any last minute tips that you could share that have come to mind as we're having this conversation and continuing to talk about some of those resources that sometimes business owners don't know that they need? Any last minute tips that we could share before we kind of start to finalize this conversation?
I'll go ahead and start. One thing, a tip is to partner and be active in your local chamber, whatever that is, and support their members and sponsors like Comcast, and because they bring programs like Comcast RISE to us. And I just wanted to say that, you as a business owner, you are resilient. We all believe in you, and you are deserving of this grant and all that are out there. Apply for it. And if you do receive it, pay it forward. Help another business with advice, mentorship, or whatever the case may be. Because I know it's a cliche, but we all are in this together, and time will pass and we'll all be better because of it.
And I'll reiterate what Francis said. Definitely be active in your chamber. We are here to help our members get them through this pandemic and beyond. So we want our members to thrive. And how do you do that? Get access to resources. The chamber, as with this partnership that Comcast is doing with the diverse chambers here in Houston, this is a prime example of the resources that we as chambers can bring to you. But with that, make sure that you're connected into all of, getting SBA emails, et cetera, so you know about all the incredible resources that are coming from, whether it's city, county, federal, and we're also pushing that out. So make sure that you're on those lists to be up to speed on those opportunities that are continuing to flow.
And if I could add, I just want to take a moment and recognize just the partnerships between Comcast and these two chambers. It's almost a testament to how dynamic and amazing the city of Houston is, that we can all come together for the greater benefit of the city, and in this case, small minority-owned business owners. It's a feel good, definitely. It's obviously no secret that small business is the backbone to our communities, and today I think they're feeling it more than ever. We know we can't do it alone as a company, but we are committed and through programs like RISE to driving change right here in Houston. And I will add again, Juan, if you are a business owner or know someone who can benefit from this, please encourage them to visit ComcastRISE.com. Learn more about the program, 15 minutes tops, fill out the application, and potentially get a $10,000 grant for your business.
That's awesome. That's great advice. And, I'll share just a little bit about my story. So I started my business 5 years ago, and it was the first time I was launching into being an entrepreneur. And there were some things that I didn't know that I learned the hard way. And, I quickly then started getting mentors, and I started working with mentors and started networking and going to chamber events and learning from others and asking questions. And I think that's such a valuable piece of the puzzle, I think, when you think about being a business owner and why you should connect with the chambers that are in your community. So let's tell everybody how they can find us online and where they can how they can get connected with our organizations and the things that we have coming up. Tammi, do you want to start off?
Sure. You can find information about the chamber at Houston LGBT Chamber.com, where you can find not only all of our events, but our resource page around COVID pandemic resources, Comcast RISE. All of the information is on our website.
Yeah, and us, it's EECOC, like East End Chamber of Commerce.org. And our phone number is 713-926-3305. We've got an active website, an active Facebook page. And we also even created a East End Strong Facebook group page. So find us on any of those. And I'm the only Frances there, and would love to connect with you and help you.
And Comcast, we're at Comcast Houston on Twitter and Facebook. And then our blog is probably the best place to go to learn about all the initiatives that we have going on here in Houston. And that's houston.comcast.com.
Great. And obviously mine, you can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called Juan of Words, but I also have a couple of businesses you can find me at. And probably the best one that I can plug is Big Oak Tree Media, where we do public relations. And we do digital marketing as well for folks. So find us there as well. But again, I just want to implore anybody who's watching and who's even has an inkling of saying, maybe I should apply, to go ahead and do it. Go ahead and apply. Like Michael said, it takes only 15 minutes. You can go to ComcastRISE.com and do the entire application there, get all the information of what's required to apply. And just go ahead and submit your application before March 14th, which is the deadline. So that's the big thing that you want to if there's one thing we want you to walk away with, is that the deadline is coming up March 14th. And we definitely want everybody to apply so that you can get your chance at receiving one of these $10,000 grants from the Comcast RISE Investment Fund. Before we go, guys, anybody have any final thoughts?
I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity, Juan. And Tammi, Frances, thank you for the continued partnership. Always good to see you too.
Absolutely. And Michael, I just wanted to say thank you and your team at Comcast for giving all of these small businesses hope to continue their dreams going.
I'll say, Michael, thank you to Comcast as well for the commitment to LGBTQ inclusion and continually working to support the small business community. We're so grateful for all that you do. Your team is remarkable in Houston, and we appreciate the partnership. And Juan, thank you for hosting today, and congratulations on 5 years to you. That's a great milestone right there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, thanks, Juan.
Thank you all, and definitely go apply if you're watching. We'll see you on the next one. All
I
right.
think so.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.